Hi, first graders. Ranger Hannah here. Today, we are going to talk about the American toad tadpoles. Now, Mrs. Wheat has shown you that you have tadpoles in your virtual classroom now, and she's been generous enough to share them with me. If you look closely, you can see them swimming around in there. You can see their little tails as a key characteristic to know it's a tadpole. We'll get into these a little bit later. First, I want to tell you about their life cycle. So as you know, an American toad looks an awful lot like a frog, but it's not. It starts off with what you see in the middle as an egg, and then goes into the next stage of hatching and being a tadpole. Now out of that graph, can you see which one of these is a tadpole? I hope you're right, first graders. Here we have a full-grown American toad. So that is what our little friends here are going to one day turn up to be. But before they get to the stage they're at right now, they start off as eggs. Now, what do you notice about these eggs here in this photograph? When I take a close look, I tend to notice that they're in a line. They look like a chain of eggs. They then turn into this tadpole. So as we can see, there's a long tail that this tadpole has, and if you look in the middle of the screen, there's also a little leg. Now let's take a look at our tadpoles up close and see. I noticed some tails. Let's look really closely and see if we can notice any legs. Pretty active little fellas. All right. So once they continue to grow out their legs, they transition into being baby toads, as you can see here. Very cute. That's just the size of someone's tip of their fingers, if you can imagine a little baby American toad resting right on my finger. Now let's take a look back at our tadpoles. What do you see? Let's take an observation. Do you want to try counting them? Or maybe see how they swim. What is their behavior like? Now, as you're looking at them, I also want to know what you're thinking. What are you thinking about these little tadpoles? Now, I have many questions, and I also want to know what you wonder about these friends. Do you wonder what they eat? Do you wonder what they're thinking? Do you wonder how long it takes them to grow? I wonder all of these things. I also wonder about their habitats, or the places that they like to call their home, where they seek shelter. Do you notice anything in our little habitat for these tadpoles that might be very important to them? Let's review a little bit more about our tadpoles' habitats. So what do you think a tadpole needs? Well, I know that we found these in a little pond near a creek. So that means that these tadpoles must need water. We also were there on a sunny day. The sun is always shining, helps there be plants, helps there be life, so I would say that the tadpoles need some sunlight. They also need some oxygen, some air, so that they can breathe. They are toads, so we do know that they can breathe air. They also need some shelter. So what we did for shelter in our little habitat here is you can see there's some seaweed. Seaweed inside of our little habitat. Not as much seaweed as we would find in a habitat like a creek or a pond, but we've got some there. And then food. In this photo, I see a type of critter that a tadpole or American toad might consider its food. You know that that's an insect? You're right. That's what it would consider some of its food. All right, let's do one last shot. See, think, wonder about our tadpole friends. You'll be seeing a lot of these friends throughout our virtual classroom. We're so excited to watch them grow. And I think that little one wagging its tail, that's a wag goodbye. See you next time, first graders.